Hey, how is it going, sixth grade? So who's ready to do a lab? Okay, so today the lab we're going to be doing is dealing with motor programs. So this specific lab, we're going to be looking at the relationship between movement complexity and the amount of time needed to organize a motor program. So that's basically meaning we're going to be looking at what happens when you add more movements to something. How's that going to affect the time it takes to complete a movement? So in this, what we're first going to do to set this up is we're going to need sticky note, 2/4, some tape, and we're going to need our data sheets, which I'm going to provide the data sheets for you. So what we're going to want to do is you're going to have your computer set up. You're going to get a ruler and measure 30 centimeters, and that's where you're going to put this first sticky note, 30 centimeters away from your mouse or your little keypad. And then 30 centimeters from the sticky note, you're going to put 1/4, and then 30 centimeters above that quarter, you're going to put another quarter, and you're going to tape these down, that way they don't move when you touch them. And then what we're going to want to do is you are going to want to open up the website that provides the timer for the online reaction time. And this is how we're going to keep track of our scores for performing the different movements. So the first condition we're going to look at is to perform the reaction time tests as instructed on the site. So you're going to go to the site, as I said earlier, follow the directions. So what it wants you to do is click the button on the right to begin. So you're going to click the click here to start button. And then you're going to wait for the stoplight to show a green light. And once it shows a green light, then you're going to click as fast as you can, and it's going to record your score for you, and that's your reaction time. And you're going to do this 5 different times. So you're going to do this for 5 times, and then it should give you your average. And then you're going to go to the data sheet that I've provided for you and write down your scores for condition 1. Then we're going to go on to condition 2. In condition 2, you're going to repeat the same thing you did for the first trials you did, except we're going to add something. So what we're going to add is after you click the button as fast as you can after that green light, you're going to tap the sticky note, and then you're going to go again. And we're going to see how this affects our reaction time by touching the sticky note in between. So here's how you would do that. We're going to click, wait for the green light. All right, green light, touch the sticky note, and back. All right, there it gave me my score. I'm going to do that 5 different times once again, and then it'll give me the average, and we're going to put that on our individual sheets. And then we're going to go on to condition 3. And condition 3 wants us to do is we're going to do the same thing we did in 1 and 2, except we're going to add another movement. So the movement we're going to add is after you touch the sticky note, you're going to touch both quarters and then come back and go again. So here's how this is going to look. Start, wait for the green light. Okay, green light, click, boom, boom, quarters, and back. And it's going to give me my time. I'm going to do that 5 different times once again. So then after we've done those 3 different conditions with the 3 different sets of movements, and we have our scores inputted into our individual data sheet, then what we are going to do is we're all going to get together and put everybody's scores all together on a group data sheet. So this will allow us to see how everybody's scores stack up and how we can look at the relationship between task complexity and movement patterns. So once we get everybody's scores inputted on the group data sheet, we're going to get our average. And then from our average, what we're going to look at are these 3 discussion questions. So we're going to look at how did increased movement complexity influence reaction time? This meaning, how did adding more tasks to do in between clicking the button, how did this influence the reaction time? So from my scores, what I saw was that my reaction time was a little bit slower once we added touching the sticky note or touching the quarters. It wasn't slower by much, but just enough to show a difference. Then we're going to go on to the second question. Do the results of this experiment support the notion that task complexity influences the amount of time needed to organize a motor program? So we're going to say that what this question means is, does adding more tasks influence the amount of time it takes to perform a task? So what I saw while completing this experiment on my own was that the results do support that task complexity does influence the amount of time needed, because for some reason our brains, when we're thinking about more tasks we got to do, sometimes our reaction time is a little bit slower. Then in the third question we're going to look at, how do these results support the notion that movements are planned in advance? So the results do show that, because like I noticed my reaction time was not that much slower. So why could that be? Because I added more movement, so why isn't my reaction time slower than it was before? Or it was slower, but why wasn't it slower by more? And the reasoning I came up with is because our brains are constantly planning in advance. We know what we have to do. So we knew, just like you guys knew, you all knew that you had to click the button as fast as you could before you touch these two things. So that could be a reason why we did not see reaction time slow that as drastically as you might think it would. And that concludes our lab on motor program 6th grade. Great job, everybody.